Resident Evil 9, release date, story details, and everything we know. The Resident Evil franchise for the last 25 years has produced some very exciting games that have managed to exceed expectations with each subsequent rendition. The game has set a benchmark for the survival horror genre and, over the years, has managed to create its own universe with enigmatic characters, horrific creatures, and a gripping storyline. But after the release of Village, what is the next big thing that the franchise has to offer? Resident Evil 9. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video to learn more about the next big thing in the franchise. What is it all about? So far, Capcom hasn't confirmed if there is going to be a Resident Evil 9, but with everything pointing towards a sequel, it seems inevitable. An official trailer for the game hasn't been released yet, but the epilogue to Village can be taken into consideration as the trailer for the sequel. At the end of Resident Evil 8 Village, we come across Ethan Winter sacrificing himself in order to take down Mother Miranda, so Ethan making a comeback for the sequel doesn't seem very practical. Instead, it is presumed that Ethan's daughter Rose would be the protagonist for the sequel. At the end of Village, Rose is an adult woman working for Chris Redfield in some capacity due to a time jump. Similar to her father, she has a few supernatural abilities up her sleeves, and is surrounded by snipers in case she goes out of control, suggesting that the gameplay would showcase elements of her abilities. However, at the end of Village, Chris Redfield heads over to BSAA headquarters, where he finds out that the BSAA is using his bioweapons for their own benefit, which could also mean the sequel takes up from there, with Rose's storyline being side quest to the main game, or he might employ Rose's skill set in order to set things right. Similar to Biohazard and Village, where the dark past of the protagonists has been explored extensively, Resident Evil 9 can also focus on Rose's grim childhood experiences. In hindsight, Duke could still be lurking around and has a keen interest in the Winters family, and has a few supernatural powers of his own. It would be fascinating to see the friction between him, who has known Ethan personally, and Chris, who is a guardian and somewhat of a captor to Rose. On the other hand, as per the speculations of Dusk Golem, Resident 7, 8, and 9 are the continuation of the same story, suggesting that it is a trilogy of sorts. According to a few speculations, the game could also be set in a third-person perspective, setting it apart from Biohazard and Village, which were meant to be played from a first-person perspective. This comes as a homage to Resident Evil 1 and 2 remakes and Resident Evil 4, which were played from a third-person perspective. In the absence of any official announcement, we speculate that the game will be released on Xbox Series X/S and PS5. We cannot be sure if the game will be released on Nintendo Switch, but it might be released on PC. Villains and main characters. There are many speculations regarding the characters that would make a comeback in Resident Evil 9. Jill Valentine can make a comeback as a villain in the game, unlike in Resident Evil 5, where she was forced to help Albert Wesker to defeat Chris. She would go on to fight bioterrorism by using her own bioweapons without realizing the fact that she could essentially become as evil as the villains she had previously fought against. Rebecca Chambers can also make a comeback as a villain, since she is a scientist at BSAA, who could potentially create bioweapons that could be used for combat purposes, which would be a stark departure from her former persona as a young member of the erstwhile STARS team. Meanwhile, Leon can also make a comeback as a villain using bioweapons in combat, having lost quite a lot of his peers in their war against bioterrorism. Mia Winters, who had been used as a pawn against her family time and again, can also be a villain, considering that she is a widow and has to raise a quite powerful young daughter. After witnessing the ending of Village, some fans of the game speculate that Rose Winters will be the new main villain of the sequel, where it is suggested that the extent of her supernatural powers isn't known yet. Being extremely powerful doesn't necessarily mean that she would abuse them right away, but her pent-up aggression is quite evident when she escapes the organization to visit Ethan's grave. She also threatens an unarmed agent with her powers when he compares her to Evelyn, who tries to de-escalate the situation by calling it a joke. It is not unusual for someone to be agitated in her situation, but what frightens us is her apparent inability to control her emotions. Another interesting theory that has also surfaced suggests that since the remakes take place in the same timeline as Village, where characters like Jill, Leon, Claire, etc. are introduced while reinterpreting the character of Chris Redfield, suggests that after the time jump, all the characters mentioned above could be featured as significantly older versions of themselves. Release date. Dusk Golem has previously tweeted that Resident Evil 9 has been in development since 2018, and keeping in mind Capcom's previous track record, the game would be released somewhere around 2024, suggesting that this game would have the most extended development cycle of the Resident Evil franchise, although a major reason for the delay can be attributed to the pandemic. Marvelous verdict. With speculation suggesting a number of interesting outcomes, it would be exciting to see what the franchise has to offer in the near future, but we are sure that it would be a game to behold, suggesting that a lot of the iconic characters might be making a comeback with the franchise, albeit with a new exciting plot. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video, and for more exciting videos, please subscribe to our channel.